Host, right? All
Yeah.
right. Well, welcome to the Lakers Post podcast. I am your host Nelson, who was appointed literally seconds before the podcast started, and I'm here with Merch. How are you doing, Merch?
What's up? It's been a
All
minute.
right. Yeah. So the Lakers won the Las Vegas Summer
Woo!
League championship. They won it
When's
on
the
the back.
parade?
Hopefully the parade is soon because man, the Lakers deserved it. They started out 0-2, right? Was it 0-2 or 0-3?
Oh, and two. Yeah.
0-2, yeah. And then after that, Lonzo just turned it on, and the whole team was just clicking. Kyle Kuzma became Kevin Love 2.0, and Thomas Bryant, he was yelling and doing stuff like that. Vanderbilt became and showed us why he was the D League MVP and why
Yeah.
he is head and shoulders above most of the players at Summer League.
Matt Thomas turned into JJ Redick.
Yeah, Matt Thomas just couldn't miss in the game. He went like 8 for 9 as far as like field goals go, which is really impressive. And yeah, I mean, like the whole team was really clicking. They won the championship final, even without Lonzo, who missed the game with the calf issue. He's only gonna miss a couple weeks of like training and stuff, and then he'll be back right for training camp. So that's cool. So Merch, I know that you watch most of the games and you kept up with Summer League. So what are your takeaways for Summer League, just in general?
I don't know. I was just really impressed with the mentality switch and the pace speed up and stuff like that. And really, most of the players who had major minutes, I was impressed by. I mean, even Travis Ware showed some stuff sometimes, which surprised me. I mean, Vanderbilt looked like a competent passer. I mean, I think he had 3 straight games with 6 assists or more, which was crazy to me.
Right.
Matt Thomas started to drain a bunch of threes.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, obviously, I think the two that impressed me the most were obviously Lonzo and Kyle Kuzma. Kuzma more so than Lonzo because I don't think really me or even Clayton had thought this would be at all possible to him be this good.
Yeah,
This quickly.
when Kuzma got drafted, we were like, oh no, another 4. Like we don't need another 4. That was initially my judgment, and that was Clayton's judgment. That was pretty much everyone else's judgment.
Yeah.
But he's really shown to be a different kind of 4. He's definitely not Larry Nance, who's going to pass up like every single open shot that he gets.
Yeah.
Kuzma will shoot his shot.
Even to a fault at some point.
Yeah, definitely to a fault. He'll definitely have some heat checks. He'll probably have a lot less of those in the NBA just because he's not going to get those kind of minutes, and it's a much more organized game. But yeah, I mean, like if it's in summer league, if you're feeling it, then you're gonna be checking up 3-pointers. He had this crazy, ridiculous pull-ups, spin move, this pull-up, ridiculous Klay Thompson looking 3-point shot at the end of the third quarter in the championship game, which was just really ridiculous. And it's kind of indicative of how hot he was all summer league. I mean, he just lit it up. He shot the lights out for the whole summer.
Oh, yeah. And he got 48% from the 3-point line.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with Lonzo, but not all of it. This is definitely a product of him having a good shot, good form, much quicker release, and a much more kind of it really looks like he refined his shot since Utah,
Yeah. It was, I don't know. It was, I wasn't expecting him to be terrible from the 3-point line or his jumper to be terrible, but I wasn't expecting him to be freaking Joe Ingles with the efficiency. I mean, it was just like snipe after snipe after snipe. I mean, the last 2 games, the one against the Blazers and one against the Mavericks, I mean, there were times where I'm like, he's not made. There's no way he's going to make this. And he would just pull up in a dude's face and he would drain a 3 in a dude's face. But I think the 2 things, besides the shooting, obviously, the 2 things I was most impressed with was his defense switchability and his, or not even really switchability, more just versatility in general, and his passing off, short rolls or passing in transition or hockey assists or stuff like that. I mean, there was a play against the Mavericks where I don't remember if it was a pick and roll with Lonzo or he just had the ball, but he got the ball, he was driving in the paint, and then he did a no-look to Zubac, who was right underneath the rim.
Right.
And, Zubac dunked it, and it's just he's shown he definitely has some pretty good vision. He definitely is not afraid to shoot the ball. He's definitely okay with taking over. And I mean, his post moves were pretty, impressive at certain points. He was making some nice moves on some decent defenders, and he was finishing at the rim really well. He was running whenever Lonzo would get a rebound. The the Tom Brady to Randy Moss connection there. I mean, him and Lonzo just had some insane chemistry going already, and it got me pretty excited to think how Lonzo's going to be with, guys like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Julius Randle and Ingram and Lopez sometimes.
Don't say Brook Lopez. I cannot imagine Brook Lopez just running up the court and catching one of those passes. I think that it would just be hilarious because he probably won't get that much elevation and the ball would just go sailing through and he'll probably just fall trying to catch it divingly. I can already picture it. It's hilarious to me. But no, definitely I can definitely see Randle catching those kind of passes, and Randle being a much more effective transition player than Kyle Kuzma is. He's on a different level when it comes to transition.
Yeah, Kuzma is good, but Randle's like borderline elite in transition.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because he can just overpower people. He's quick, really lightning quick first step. Gets a rim, and he finished at a pretty decent clip. And hopefully, with these easier opportunities, that he's able to finish at an even higher rate than last year. And all that's kind of really impressive, and it really shows what Lonzo can do with a stretch big. Like we saw it with TJ Leaf. He really sets him up with some good looks. But, it's not just all Lonzo. That wouldn't be fair to Kyle Kuzma.
Right.
Because Kuzma was shooting some insane shots. And honestly, it was really insane to see him hit some of the shots that he hit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's honestly so awesome because he provides so much. I mean, he was even taking it from end to end, just laying it up and not stopping.
Yeah, there was that one play at the end of the first half last night when he grabbed the board and he drove all the way down to the rim and someone yanked on his shoulder and he was able to finish with the contact, and just it was so much fun, and I really want to see a Randle Kuzma small ball lineup because I think that would just have all of the the transition running. I mean,
all the transition and all the switches as well, because they can both switch really well.
I mean, Lonzo, KCP, Ingram, Kuzma, Randle, a lineup like that is gonna be really fun because that's a lot of
ball handling, a lot of shooting, a lot of switching, a lot of activity, a lot of transition.
Theoretical shooting, but yeah.
Yeah, right. Theoretical shooting as far as Randle, see how well he's progressed there.
And Brandon too.
Yeah, Brandon as well. He didn't really shoot it that well last year. He shot it. He shot well against the Clippers, but that's a super small sample size, so I can't take away all that much from it. But the shot just look cleaner, less moving parts to it, much more simpler than it was last year. So hopefully that helps him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I kind of want to talk about Ingram because I know that we talked about him early on in a few podcasts ago.
Yeah.
But Ingram was really awesome. He was insane. That first game, I mean, he just was a different kind of player.
Yeah, and I mean, also it was against in my opinion, an NBA defender in Sindarius Thornwell most of the time. Even though he was a lower end second round draft pick, he's still a really good defender, Thornwell, with a long wingspan. And I think just there was some post moves and some just isolation stuff that I didn't see him do really at all in his first season that he pulled out in that game, and just there's some reads that he made. I mean, there was the one that I can remember when on the fast break with Thomas Bryant, he did a no look right-handed pass to Thomas Bryant who was screaming down the middle of the paint. I mean, there was the isolation move against Sindarius Thornwell at the end of the fourth quarter to tie the game, where he broke Sindarius and used his long arms to finish at the rim, and a lot of it reminded me of the last 10 games, Brandon, where he was just dunking on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's Brandon didn't have a dunk in this game, but he was pretty much playing how we saw him play the last 15 minutes, plus some added like post isolation moves added into his arsenal. He didn't shoot. I think he shot like what 3-3-pointers, 2 3-pointers. He didn't shoot that. I think he only shot a couple, and he made only one. So we still need to see that. We still need to see him shoot at a volume, which I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities this year, especially with Lonzo. Yeah, I mean, and then even defensively, there's just some hustle plays that he made, and he was able to just like defend pretty well against. Again, it wasn't a lot of great offensive players on that Clippers team, but I mean, even when Bryce Johnson was killing them, they switched. They started to have Ingram on Kendall Marshall, and then they would switch Ingram onto Bryce Johnson on pick and rolls, and he was able to just stand his own against Bryce Johnson, who's a pretty athletic dude. I don't know. It really just got me more amped up for him. I mean, I wasn't like terribly down on him, but I wasn't as high as I was as when he came out. But I think that excitement just came back from beginning of last year for me.
Yeah, I mean, like he definitely showed some more flashes of that Duke isolation type scoring where he was playing good defense, helping blocking shots, getting into passing lanes, scoring on isolations, catching and shooting, and playmaking as well. I mean, like it was honestly the full package, and it honestly helped me to really see that kind of thing from Ingram again, and see that he is capable of creating all that kind of stuff. And if Lonzo shoots better, I saw Ingram give Lonzo a couple of good passes. Like if Lonzo just shoots better and people around Ingram also shoot better, then I think he can really show more playmaking than he did last season, just because there wasn't that much shooting.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see Brandon Ingram because with Lonzo, kind of transitioning more towards Lonzo. I mean, he was really awesome. I mean, he was fun. His weaknesses are still there, but his strengths are there as well, and that's what makes him so awesome to watch. Because he's pushing the ball up, hitting guys in passes. Making these awesome reads. Like these are some awesome high level reads that he's making. With some awesome passes.
The touchdown pass to Kuzma is.
Oh yeah, those touchdown passes are
stuck in my head. I mean, the one-handed touchdown pass.
Yeah, and even apart from those, like in the half course anyway, setting pick and rolls, driving and dishing it out, getting out to shooters, all these kind of reads that are just awesome high level reads that you don't really see. And he did force some passes, not force them as like turnovers, but force them as unnecessary passes where he could have drawn a foul, but instead he just kept the ball moving, which sometimes it is a good play, but sometimes you just need to score just to keep the defense guessing and off balance. But with Ingram being so successful in isolation, primary creation type roles, running pick and rolls, scoring, attacking the rim, having successful post ups, all this kind of stuff, it definitely makes me feel more comfortable about Lonzo, just because Lonzo will have to initiate as much offense, because when he did try to initiate, he really couldn't create as much space as the elite players in the NBA do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, not only Ingram. I think I think Julius is also. I mean, Julius isn't going to handle the ball as much as he did last year, obviously, because Lonzo and Brandon are going to dominate the ball. But I mean, he still has. He can initiate a couple of plays here and there. I mean, he did it a few times during the season. I mean, and even Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I mean, he's a guy who's an underrated passer. If any of you guys watched Liquor Film Room's breakdown on him, his offensive breakdown on him, he was a better passer than I remembered, and he made pretty good reads to like Andre Drummond and Tobias Harris and people like that. So you hope the added ball handling with Julius and KCP instead of Vanderblue or Matt Thomas and I mean Kuzma handled the ball, but Vanderblue and like Matt Thomas being the 2-3, and now that's going to be KCP and Ingram.
Definitely,
it's gonna be fun to see him off the ball more, because I think there are some times where you saw Lonzo try to get those off ball like movements, but no one like really gave it to him, because I mean, come on, it's Vanderblue and Matt Thomas we're talking about.
Yeah.
Those guys are scorers. But yeah,
I mean, I definitely think Lonzo in the half court is going to have more success,
hmm
uh, just because of his cutting and because of his shooting. I think that his shooting will improve. I think it's really not going to be fair to judge his shooting this season. All I want to see is how well he can create in the NBA. Like as far as like get the shot off and all that kind of thing, all those kind of things. Because Lonzo showed that he was a really good shooter in college, and I trust that he shot it at a really high volume, and I think that sample size is good enough to where his struggles in summer league don't uh, you know worry me as much.
right.
But yeah, I mean, like I think in a half court setting, he can initiate the offense, and he showed him that he can run pick and rolls, not at the level that D'Angelo Russell or some other high level pick and roll point guards can run it,
Right.
but decently enough to where like it's not going to be a tire fire, right? It's not a tire fire on that end yet. Like he has his struggles, he makes his bad reads, but he showed promise there, which is pretty good for a guy that's not really accustomed to running pick and rolls. Like he ran the UCLA, the motion offense where like you cut, you run pick and rolls just to hit the pop man, that kind of stuff. So hopefully, he shows more things in that area. But yeah, I think that Luke, if he really wants to experiment, and hopefully the Lakers win as many games as possible because because of the free agents, right? And you have to win games just to entice them and see that the Lakers are progressing. But
Yeah.
hopefully the Lakers aren't doing that well with the starting lineup where he can mix it up and put like you said the Kuzma Randall lineup and
Right.
different kind of weird lineups that we want to see. And because the Lakers have all these versatile players, like that KCP can play some minutes at the one.
Yeah.
Like that's how I'm saying. KCP can play some minutes at the three, some spot minutes, right?
Yep.
Dang plays the 3-4. Kuzma
Mhm.
plays. I feel
I
better about him playing some three now.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely do too.
I feel that like if there's an injury or if Luke just wants to experiment that Kuzma can't handle his own at the three. You also have Randall who can play some five.
Yeah.
Nance who can also play some five. More of four though.
Right.
And you have Thomas Bryant's a five and Subas is a five, but still you have enough positional versatility where I really want to see Luke play with these lineups because it should be fun. Brook Lopez can space it. Randall, see how well he progresses spacing the floor. Nance, hopefully he's more aggressive now.
Yeah.
He sees how successful Kuzma is, shooting the ball with Lonzo. So I mean, like it's interesting to see how this roster is going to shape up, and I think that the Lakers definitely look in a much better spot than they do right now. But there were a couple standout guys from the summer league that might not make the team, but I think that they've they've warranted some of the discussion, like Vanderbilt and Thomas.
Right.
Vanderbilt, the G League,
Yeah.
last year the D League MVP.
Right.
It's going to be called the G League. He really showed why, because he wasn't like everyone's like, oh, Vanderbilt, like we know what he is, but he's pretty good in this kind of setting. Like it's not the highest level competition. He can score, gets to the rim. He's a really super good finisher. He can take contact and do all those kind of things that really show well in summer league. So do you think that he has done enough in summer league to garner a camp invite?
I think he's definitely gonna get a camp invite. I wouldn't put it past the Lakers to offer him a two-way at this point. I think he played that well, and at least in the last 3 games, he showed some like playmaking chops a little bit. I don't expect that at all to be something he does in the NBA if he ever makes it back there. Just because he's a bench player, why would he need to? He's a bench player who made his money off of scoring, so he won't really need to play make. But he showed a little bit of upside with that playmaking. He made a couple of really good reads the past couple of games. I definitely think he is going to garner at least a camp invite.
Yeah, no, I definitely think he played really well this year, and I think that he showed enough at some like scoring the ball and showing things that the Lakers might want, because the Lakers do so many guards, and
Yeah.
Vanderbilt is a 2 guard, so that's where the connection and the possible availability is. Although I really want to see Dozier get it over
Yeah.
Vander, but I think Vander's just played well enough to where that we could see the front office being like, as much as we like to see him and we like his potential, Vander just showed more and he actually played. So the next guy, we talked about him earlier, Matt Thomas from I forgot what college he went to. Iowa State.
Iowa State, yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the best players in that conference. He has some records, some pretty high marks. But he played awesome in the championship game. He was just great. I mean, he looked like JJ Redick, like you said.
Right. Yeah.
So do you think that he's another guy that's gonna get a camp invite?
Yeah, I can definitely see him being like the last guy to get that camp invite. Even though there's a couple other guys I would look at, again, Dozier or someone like that. But I think he's shown enough where I wouldn't be mad if they gave him a camp invite, just off of purely shooting alone. Because I mean, he shot something like 60% from 3-point line.
Right.
I mean, like that in the whole summer league. And the last 3 games he shot 20, and he made 16 of them, something like that. I mean, he was on fire those last few games. So he didn't really show much on the defensive side of the ball or on the ball handling side of the ball. I mean, I think the game against the Mavericks, he put up 7 turnovers, and I think a few of them were stepping out of bounds turnovers, which I mean, a lot of that happened in the summer league this year, not just for the Lakers, for the whole summer league. It was weird. That doesn't happen a lot, but it happened a lot in this year's summer league. But I think just off of purely shooting alone and the Lakers needing more shooting, I can definitely see them adding Thomas and hoping he can bring that poor man's JJ Redick Kyle Korver shooting onto the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think I ideally want the Lakers to just wait and see what kind of players are cut and what kind of players are out there. Like a Derek Walton Jr. Players of that kind of echelon, that might not make the team just because they already have enough, or
Demetrius Jackson.
Yeah, Demetrius Jackson, guys like that, or maybe even Abdul Nader. He was kind of good.
Nader signed a 2-way.
Oh,
no. I don't think that's 2-way, but he signed some sort of deal with the Celtics. So he's a Celtic, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, guys like those, that are borderline NBA roster guys that can actually contribute some legitimate value. I don't think that Matt Thomas is an NBA player. Just because he shot this well in the summer league doesn't mean that he garners that he's going to be an NBA player.
Right.
But if there aren't that many interesting guys out there, and the Lakers just view Matt Thomas, and they want to see more of Matt Thomas, I certainly think, and I'm much more open to them offering him a camp invite, just because it wouldn't be that much of a waste because he did show enough, especially in his last game. But a guy who the Lakers did sign to a 2-way contract, Alex Caruso, the GOAT, the legendary point guard that miraculously saved the Lakers' summer league hopes.
Oh, that was a great game.
He was the start of something special. That was the first game the Lakers won, and they haven't looked back since. So, and it was pretty much that game that garnered him the 2-way contract. But how do you feel about that signing? And do you think that it may lead to something more than just a D-League guy?
Honestly, I think he's an NBA player. He reminds me a lot of Dellavedova. Not because of the white on white comparison.
Because of the grit.
No. Because seriously, I think he's a good defender. He's a guy that you can put out there and just pester a guy who's scoring the ball really well,
Right.
And he's kind of like that Patrick Beverly type, Matthew Dellavedova mold. I've heard a Nick Kalathis with better offense comparison, or a Steve Blake with a taller Steve Blake comparison, and I see all of those. I didn't even realize he was 6'5", because he made some plays there was some dunks that he made that I'm how do you make that? I didn't even know he was that athletic. And he had some putback dunks on dudes' heads. He had a block on Caleb Swanigan last night. He's a really, really good passer too. That pass to Travis Ware that he missed, Ware, was absolutely ridiculous. I
don't know if I want to go really good. I definitely think he's a. Yeah, he's definitely a good passer. I think that what makes him I think he's a really good ball mover.
Right. Yeah.
I think he really moves the ball and doesn't try to force things. Not to the point where it was like with Marcelo Fuertes, where like he would literally
Right.
just not shoot at all. He would just keep passing it, and teams would literally just play him literally just to pass.
Right.
He definitely can shoot and score and run a pick and roll decently enough to where like there's some legitimate backup potential there.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would honestly rather have him running the backup or running the second unit as opposed to like Jordan Clarkson. I mean, just because of the playmaking chops alone. Obviously, he's on a two-way because so he won't be able to play like 50+ games with the Lakers. But I mean, bring him in, have him play some minutes for that, or maybe around the time where the Lakers are eliminated from playoff contention, and just have him like come in and run wild and see if he's a thing for next year, And I think he can. He seems like a rotation player to me, like a 9th or 10th best player on a roster who you can put out there to where the second unit won't like blow the first team's lead. I mean, he definitely has faults. I mean, he's not. He's obviously was a D-League player for a reason, but I mean, he's a good passer. He can shoot. He can make an open jumper. He showed sometimes that he can attack the basket. He's decently athletic. I mean, maybe you can say surprise, like a sneaky athletic because he's a white. He has that. He needs to shave his hair though. That hairline is just too brutal. I mean,
yeah. Sorry.
He needs to just go full TJ McConnell in his first year on the.
Definitely.
That's another comparison. He can be a TJ McConnell with a jumper.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see that just because Caruso can decently run a pick and roll, and I mean, he has all these skills that that should translate to an NBA, and he also makes high motor plays.
That like when he stole the ball from Buddy Hield and he dove out of bounds to save it.
Like, and it's something that like he's done it like a couple times after that. Where like he gets on the floor, the ball's on the floor, he's there. He does these like awesome, quick snap judgment plays that are like that's going to translate to an NBA because of that motor, and for a guy that's like that's decently kind of okay-ish athlete, he definitely has the motor to where like where it works, it works as a backup. Like he can he's definitely a better backup option than what's left on the market. Rondo's a better basketball player, but I think as a fit, Caruso's just better because he fits well with Lonzo, and he also does the whole ball movement thing, which is kind of important for the Lakers. Tim was on the podcast, and he was really talking about how the Lakers really need a point guard that fits Lonzo's style, and how he also keeps the ball moving. I think Caruso is that kind of guy.
Here's a question: would you rather have Darren Williams or Caruso as a backup one? Really, really good pick and roll ball handler.
Yeah, he definitely is. I don't know. I think I'd probably take Darren just because of because he's legitimately an NBA player still.
Right.
I don't know for how long, right? But he's an NBA player right now, and with Caruso, it's still up in there whether he can continue to shoot it as well as he shot it, and if he can continue to run a pick and roll as well in the NBA, just because this is summer league. But and he couldn't really create that much space. Kind of like sort of with Lonzo. But I think I'd probably take Darren. But like, it's not like if the Lakers don't sign Darren Williams because they already have Alex Caruso. It's not like
right. Okay, well, I don't know if I'd really put him in the same category, but Ian Clark or Caruso.
Oh, Ian Clark all the way.
Right.
Ian Clark's a legitimate floor spacer. Yeah, he can run some pick and roll, some
defender.
Yeah, moves the ball well. Was in Golden State's offense, so that should translate as well.
Right. I do think we're gonna get. I think we're gonna get one of those two in the next week or so. Once they figure out the Nets guy we'll talk about situation. Then once they figure that out, then they'll sign one of those guys. I've seen like Ty Lawson and Derek Rose's name floater out there, and but I think
I mean like once they sign and figure out how they're gonna handle Thomas Bryant, I think that that we'll see them sign some sort of veteran
point
guard, So the next guy, the guy that we just
Yes,
mentioned, Thomas Bryant,
my
probably
favorite.
the guy that I was the most excited to see, or one of the most excited guys to see. Just because of the high motor, the antics, the yelling,
The
how awesome he
dancing,
was. Yeah, the dancing, all that kind of stuff.
so great.
Um, and I mean, he ran the floor well, ran some pick and rolls, spaced the floor, showed a semblance of a jump shot. He was fun. He was a fun player to watch.
Mhm.
Definitely more fun than he was at Indiana, and I think that he's carved out a good enough role for him to garner a two-way contract.
I don't know if I want him on a two-way though. I'd rather have him on a 2-year or 3-year. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
a
ideally.
two-way gives another team a chance to get him. And
Yeah.
it's just because I like him as a person so much, but I think he can legitimately be an NBA starter. Just because I kind of believe in the athleticism more than some people do. At least I think he can be a really good backup big. I just really love this the energy, the hustle. I think the jumper might be a real thing. Again, we have to see it more in real NBA games.
Right.
I think there were times where he was able to handle a pick and roll defensively pretty decently. There was times where he was able to handle guards pretty decently on the perimeter. He was able to rebound the ball pretty well. He was able to get a couple of block shots. He rim running with Lonzo. I mean, that's the type of guy that you want alongside Lonzo, an athletic guy who can rim run. I don't know. He was just a lot of fun to watch, and I just don't want to lowball him and lose him. I don't think Bryant won't even want to sign a two-way, as Clayton is saying in the Slack chat right now.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd want to do that, and he was a second round pick. We saw lower second round picks already signed a 2-3 year deal. I mean, Scenario Storm already signed a 2-3 year deal.
Right.
Like lower people like that. I just think I just really want at least a 2-year out of him, just so we can see what he is. I'm on the he's a better prospect than Zubac's train. Both same age.
Oh man,
Thomas.
we didn't get to talk about Zubats. We'll talk about Zubats after Thomas.
I forgot about him.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
he was fun, and I hope that they really sign him to a legitimate contract, so that you have his bird rights, sort of like how they did with Zubats, where they had the chance to sign him for 2 years, but you want him on a 3-year deal because of the bird rights stuff.
Right.
Because you want to have a cost control asset, especially with a guy who showed so much. In summer league, he showed some legit stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So the last guy that I think that we'll talk about is gonna be Zubats. The guy that man, like, he was supposed to be one of the guys that was supposed to be a sure thing, contribute, but man, he just looked out of it the whole time. He just was missing some bunnies, missing some good shots. He played better in the second half of the championship game. That was probably the best that we've seen him play.
Yeah,
in the whole summer
even
league.
the game, maybe the game against the Sixers where he put up 20 when Lonzo put up 36.
Right.
But I mean, even that game, he just made some dumb mistakes. Like I think he easily could have like almost 35 points in that game because Lonzo was giving him such easy little dump offs. I mean, all he had to do was just go hard to the rim. I mean, I think he was just soft. That's really the one word I would describe him as this whole summer league. He was just soft.
Yeah, I mean, like in the post when they give him the ball in the post and it's not post up, he just didn't look that well. I mean, like it's just he put up points and that's cool, but a lot of them were fouls and a lot of them it was because he missed the shot, so he got 2 free throws. But yeah, and I mean, like he didn't show floor spacing, he didn't show really rebounding.
Any defense.
Yeah, I mean, like he had a couple good moments, but like a couple moments where he actually tried and actually really moved decently well laterally, but it's hard for him because he's a big man. He's not really that laterally quick. But yeah, I mean, like it's just that in the NBA, I mean, like if you're gonna be a big man with lateral quickness issues, you're gonna have to have really good touch and show that you have that kind of touch, so you can finish around the basket or to be able to space the floor.
And the weird thing is, he did kind of show that in his rookie year too.
Yeah, but in the summer league, for some reason, he just couldn't. I mean, like he should be able to shoot over most summer league defenders. You know, he's that tall, that big.
Honestly, I was expecting him to be one of our best players and just dominate everyone.
Yeah, and he ended up just being like a guy where you're like, oh my goodness, Zubac now has the ball. You know, like something bad's gonna happen,
Yeah,
or gonna get fouled on a miss attempt. But I mean, like, yeah, he just wasn't aggressive. He just didn't really see the kind of
he was out of shape.
Motor. Yeah, he was kind of like out of shape, but you didn't see the high level motor they would ideally like to see, and that's kind of making me question his NBA future, sort of, because he's definitely got to be able to show more in the preseason and the season as far as floor spacing, finishing. I just give me that. You know, even if you don't get on, even if you don't improve laterally on lateral quickness, at least show the touch and the floor spacing, so you can show some kind of NBA future. You know, because
I mean,
as a backup,
yeah,
because or else then you're pretty much just not doing anything except taking up space. You're a space heater who isn't really all that skilled. I mean, he's still young. He still has time to improve and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's still 20 years old, and I'm trying not to overreact, but it just wasn't promising. You know?
Yeah, it was bad. His summer league was legitimately bad. You know, if you watch the stat lines, you're like, oh, he did pretty well. But taking the context and watching the actual games, he really struggled the summer league, and he really did not perform to the level that most two-year players should perform, especially with the skill set that he has.
There were times where he was like the worst player who played for the Lakers on that game. I mean, people like Vanderbilt, Matt Thomas, Travis Ware were outplaying him. And I mean, and Matt Thomas and Vander were really good, but Travis Ware just wasn't that great. He made a couple of nice 3-pointers because he's a stretch big, but there's a lot of times where he looked like just the worst player in the rotation, which it sucked. It's sad because I had so much fun watching him last year, you know, and I thought at least he showed something, at least a backup five. But it's going to be really interesting to see him and Thomas Bryant, or maybe even him and Kuzma, you know, see who wins that 10th kind of rotation player spot. 10th in a sense, because I think Zubac might just end up not play, and they might just play Larry at the 5 and Kuzma at the 4, you know?
Yeah.
But it's going to be – because, I mean, there's just a lot of – like, Thomas Bryant's momentum is going, like – is like a bad thing towards him, and Kuzma's momentum might be pushing him out. It's just those at least Kuzma needs playing time, you know, especially with how great he was this summer league. He needs playing time, and Zubac might be the one who gets booted out of that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see his NBA future, but you know, we'll see. I mean, there's still time for him to improve and a little bit more, but
hopefully he gets into shape.
Yeah, hopefully he can show some more. But I mean. Yeah, that'll do it for the podcast. We went over pretty much all the interesting players. We're not gonna really talk about Travis Ware. I mean, he made 3-pointers and stuff like that, but he didn't really show much.
We have all the 4s on the league.
Yeah, we have all the 4s. We do not need another 4. Please, I do not want my headset to explode. But yeah, you know, leave a review. Even if it's a negative review, just talk shit about how quick I talked in this podcast.
Give us a 5-star review.
Because everyone just likes to bash me, and Merge and Clay aren't going to do anything to stop it. They're just going to promote it because they want the reviews, and it doesn't matter how my feelings are hurt. So you know, that's cool, and I'm glad to have this kind of co-hosts that look out for me in that sort of way. But Merge, you're not going to write anything because you suck.
Thanks.
So I'm going to be working on a summer league review series where I go over the most interesting players and I talk about them and I break them down film-wise. You know, one of our latest writers is working on or just finished a review series on Lonzo, so that'll be up soon, and you know, hopefully you guys can go check that out. But yeah, you know, hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast. If you guys did, please again leave a review. Even if it's a negative one, because apparently this is all bash me because I suck.
Hey, you can put whatever you want. Just give us 5 stars.
Yeah, that's all that matters. We're just here for the money. But yeah, we'll catch you guys. It's kind of a slow news cycle. So when there's something important comes up, like a signing of a new player or the training camp invites are announced, we'll have a podcast. But it's gonna be kind of dry, so don't expect podcasts
Yeah.
on the.
Hopefully, we can get some guests in the next few months.
Yeah.
Not a lot we can really talk about, but maybe
Yeah, probably.
bring a couple guys to see what they think about Lakers and stuff like that.
Yeah, just rehashing some summer league stuff and talking about that. Maybe some guys who are more higher, lower, have different opinions on the summer league.
Talk about KCP.
Yeah, talking about KCP, who's a really good signing. And if you guys didn't check it out, we had a podcast. Me and Clay had a podcast when the signing went down. But yeah, hopefully we have some guests for you guys lined up and some podcasts lined up for you guys. It won't be as recent as it was during that offseason stretch where like it was a draft and then free agency and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed and you guys can catch us on the next one.